Hi, welcome to Fusion Beads. I'm going to be showing you how to make our Velvet Embrace bracelet. This multi-strand bracelet features velvet brown Swarovski Crystal Pearls in 4, 5, and the 6mm size. I paired it up with some 4mm Heishi spacers to give a little metal accent to the pearl strands. I decided to use the 3-strand end bar links so that the pearl strands will lay nicely on your wrist when you're wearing your bracelet. And I embellished the bracelet using 17 and 30mm embroidery thread tassels in blush and gray to complement the pearl color. I strung this bracelet up using the .014 soft flex beading wire. For my tools, I'm using wire cutters, chain nose pliers, and crimping pliers. So let's get started. Okay, as you can see, I already cut about 9 inches of the soft flex beading wire. So I'm going to pick up my 3-strand end bar link here. I'm going to pick up 1 crimp bead, thread it onto my beading wire, go through the first loop of the 3-strand link, and go back through the crimp bead. Then I'm going to use my crimping pliers, and I'm going to use the back notch on the crimping pliers to crimp it once, and then I turn it and I use the front notch to make it into a cylinder shape. So again, using the back notch, you gently crimp it, then you turn it, take it out and use the front notch there and crimp it one more time. And I always do a 3rd time just to get that nice shape. It's always good too just to give it a little tug, make sure it's nice and secured, something didn't slip out there. Use your wire cutters to cut off that tail as close to the crimp bead as possible without cutting your crimp bead. And then we can start stringing. So I'm going to start with my first strand is going to be the 6mm pearls. So I'm going to take 3 pearls and 1 Heishi spacer because that was the pattern. So you just go ahead and string on your pearls. So you do 3 pearls and then a Heishi, and then you do 3 more pearls. Then I'm going to show you the pattern. So it's just 3, a Heishi spacer, and 3. So I'm just going to keep repeating this pattern for the length of my bracelet, which is going to be about 6 inches and a quarter because we have the extra toggle and everything that adds a little bit of length to it. So I'm going to do that and then I'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, I went ahead and I completed my first strand of the 6mm pearls. So I have 8 little sections of 3. I went ahead and I crimped it to my second 3-strand end bar link. And I've strung and crimped my second beading wire so I can go ahead and string up my 5mm pearls. So this pattern is 6 beads and then a Heishi spacer. So I'm going to start stringing my pearls. If you prefer to stay with the 3 beads in a Heishi spacer pattern, you could definitely do that. You'll just have to get order a few more spacer beads for the length of your bracelet. So string them all up. Grab your spacer. And then you just repeat again for the full length of your bracelet. So I'm going to finish that and then I'll come back. Okay, as you can see, I went ahead and I completed my second strand with the 5mm pearls. So I have 5 sections of 6 pearls and then a Heishi. Went ahead and crimped it on the other end of the link. I've crimped my beading wire for my 3rd strand. So I'm going to start stringing the 4mm pearls. And this pattern is 3 4mm pearls and then a Heishi spacer. And then it just repeats for the length of the bracelet. So I'm going to go ahead and complete that pattern until I get to the end, and then I'll show you how I crimp onto the other end there. Okay, as you can see, I've almost completed my third strand. I have 11 sections of 3 pearls with a Heishi. And so to make sure that my third strand is the same length as my other strands, I'm going to end with just 2 pearls instead of the pattern of 3. And then that way, all my strands are going to be the same length. So I string on my pearls. You can see they match up. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick up another crimp bead, and I'm going to crimp this other side to the last strand on the end bar. Go back through the crimp bead and pull that down, and then I'm just going to use my crimping pliers. Again, using the back notch first. Crimp it once and then turn it, and crimp it one more time in the front. And then I just always do a third time for good measure. Just give it a little tug, make sure it's secure. Take your wire cutters and cut off that tail as close to the crimp bead as possible. So there, I've got my bracelet strung. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a crimp bead cover to all of my crimps. Then that way they just have a nice finished look to them. So you just slide it over that crimp bead and then gently close the crimp cover, just using the first notch on your pliers. And sometimes if it's a little askew, you can kind of turn it in there and give it another little crimp. And it looks like I can kind of see a little bit of my tail, so I'm going to give a closer trim there. It's kind of sticking out just a little bit. There. So I'm going to go ahead and continue adding my crimp bead covers to the rest of my strands, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so as you can see, I went ahead and I added my crimp bead covers to all my ends, so they're nice and finished. And now I'm going to go ahead and add my toggle. So I'm going to just open a 5mm jump ring using my chain nose pliers. So open your jump ring, you just push both sides, one towards you and one away from you. Put on my toggle bar and then just add it to the loop on the end bar link and go ahead and close that. And then do the same thing with the loop of the toggle. This is also a good place if you need a little extra length. You could add a couple more jump rings and it will add to the length of your bracelet too. And then you wouldn't have to necessarily get more pearls or anything. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and make my little embellishment with my tassels. And the way that I built that is just using jump rings. So every tassel is on one jump ring and I just kind of like build a chain. So this one's actually already open for me. So I'm going to start with my 30mm tassel on the bottom. So add it to the jump ring. And then just go ahead and close that. Set that one down. Grab another jump ring. Add a 17mm tassel, but I'm going to do this in the gray. I like alternate colors. And then I add that to the jump ring from my first tassel. So you're just like building a little chain of jump rings and tassels. Just continue that pattern, switching to the 17mm tassel in the blush. And then add it to the last jump ring you just added. Just keep building there. And then the last one here. The last gray tassel. Add it to the pink. And then you take this jump ring and you're going to add it to the loop on the end bar link. on the same side that has the loop for the toggle. You don't want to put it on the bar side because then that'll be hard and it'll be in your way when you're trying to close your bracelet. So you go ahead and attach it there. And then that way you have this nice little embellishment here of tassels that just like hangs down, and it's really cute. And I really like how the colors bring out the color of the pearl, and it looks really cute and feminine. So there, our bracelet is all complete and ready to wear. You can find all the products and tools for this inspiration design, along with many other designs, at fusionbeads.com.